Chapter 6. Pierce woke up in an asylum, installed in the cellars of the Riverside Institute. He met Dr. Colden, a female friend of Bradley, who helped him to escape. Wandering through the corridors of this place, where Dr. Fuller reigned supreme, Pierce was able to talk to a man called Francis Sanders. Before dying in full view of the detective, he accused Sarah Hawkins of being the cause of his torments. Pierce finally left the accursed building, accompanied by Bradley and Colden. The companions in misfortune decided to use the Hawkins mansion as a hideout. Now, before I continue on to Chapter 6, I have to say that Asylum level was perfect. I don't know what all the negative reviews were about, but to get to that point you have to play quite a bit, and first impressions are everything in a game like this. But that level was perfect. It had multiple ways to do the level. What was it? The gas valves, the electrical chair thing you can do to cause a distraction. You can do either one of them. Of course, it had good stealth sections. It wasn't completely barreled off, and it was decently open. It had a few different ways of doing stuff, like forcing stuff with lockpicks or finding the keys. Of course, they did both. And of course, as well as giving the sleeping pills to the inmate in order for him to cause a distraction. It had a bit of variety. It was actually a very good first level. If the rest of the game's levels are like this, then I'm very excited about it. So let's begin. That was a really good level. I was impressed. Why couldn't they show that at the start, like during their promotional time? It's weird. Ooh. So that's the Leviathan, eh?
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Don't need a drink. Shut up. They cleaned this place up, have they? So this is our base of operations now. It's been reorganized and cleaned up a little. Cool.
No. I want to know what Bradley and Dr. Colden have to say about all this.
Fair enough. You're artificially blocking me again. After such a good level, you shouldn't be doing that. I'll have cleaned the place right up.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
No. I want to know what Bradley and Dr. Colden have to say about all this.
So this affects the ending, apparently. Can I see my sanity? Oh, J I need. Oh, that's right, it was in here. Sanity. Oh dear, I am flaming fast in sanity. What the hell? My sanity is stable, but the ordeals I have gone through have left my mark, but I still manage the best I can. I keep my mind busy in order to chase away doubts and painful memories. I still have some way to go. Who knows where your mind could lead you along the paths of insanity. So this is showing the stuff that affected me. Submerged City, the Ritual, Macabre Display, and the Death of Francis. Okay. Oh, I can, oh, at 9 CP, awesome. What do I need to upgrade that? 6. So I can get strength to 5. 10 for that. Spot hidden. No, I like strength because that affects speech sometimes as well, which is really good. 6 and 3. I do like that. Well, if I do 3 each, I really want strength unlocked, I think. Or picking locks, no. Do that, 100%. Have a drink. Well, everything's been cleaned up. So we'll talk to these two now. Or to him, at least.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force.
How is he not
That'll come
dead?
soon.
Oop, sorry, I
Bradley.
switched you.
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
Cultism professional, it's red, so I don't think we can use it. Nope. Oh, come on. My medicine should have been high enough. Psychology.
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Not answer.
I heard you talking, bro.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
Unlock Dancy, your memory seems to be failing you.
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion, you don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
Unlocked answer. Sarah Hawkins was committed. Did Dr. Fuller found Riverside?
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
Sarah Hawkins was committed.
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
I saw dead bodies.
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
Might be onto a lead.
I met a Francis Sanders. You know him?
Of course. He's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins. And that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there, with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins, visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
You're right.
Let's stay prudent.
Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Won't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Right, so I can move again.
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
Alright, so Pierce, Carlton and Bradley decided to team up and solve the Sarah Hawkins case. They have a new trail to follow. Francis Sanders, an art collector and friend of the painter, who died right in front of Pierce. The detective goes to his house in order to speak to his widow about the Shambler. But the unfortunate man mentioned before he died. Alright, into madness. Let's go.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders? I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here.
Of course, Kat's here.
You know each other.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died.
Good deal.
How was he?
We're busted.
Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
Oh, God. Alright, so I have to lie. You're taking it quite well.
I expected to find you more grief-stricken than this by the death of your husband.
I do not like the tone of your allusion, sir. I had long months to weep every tear in my body, and to accept, if not my fate, at least that of my husband. And so I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're expecting more hysteria and grieving widow in my voice. Rest assured, however, my anger is real. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Eloquence. Oh boy. I share your grief, but I had nothing to do with it. Alright, I can't mention Follow because he's respected, apparently.
It's terrible what happened to your husband, but I had nothing to do with it. I was injured, and I came across him in the hospital quite by chance.
Injured? Well, I'm delighted to see you in such fine fettle, Detective. Not everybody enjoyed such a prompt recovery.
I suppose Fuller does do miracles now and again.
Luck is obviously very kind to you. Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Did he speak to you of a shambler?
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
Alrighty, where are we? We need to go to the case. Nope, please. Is that it? There we go. Ooh. So Charles Hawkins, he seems to be combined with some sort of octopus squid thing, like Cthulhu sort of. Charles Hawkins is alive, despite its crude and deformed appearance. This thing looked like Hawkins. He attacked Bradley after he recognized him. What could have happened to Charles on the night of the fire? I have never seen a major burns victim in such a state. Something's not right. Marie Colden. Officer Bradley's female friend works as a general practitioner at the Riverside Institute. She had figured out, long before I arrived, that Fuller was involved in illegal activities. She wants to shed full light on the nature of his experiments and believes that helping me to solve the Hawkins case could advance her own investigation. Francis is deceased. Francis Sanders, an art dealer. Francis knew Sarah so well that he accused her of being the source of his suffering. The man gouged his eyes out with his own hands and smeared the walls of his cell with esoteric symbols. He seemed to be obsessed with a shambler linked to Sarah Hawkins. He died before my eyes in circumstances that I cannot explain. Dr. Fuller. Fuller reigns as the undisputed master of the Riverside Institute and its cellars, in which he carries out illegal experiments on his patients. I don't know what he has done to me, but I shouldn't be back on my feet so soon after my fall when the tunnels under the Hawkins mansion caved in. This man is dangerous, and I'd swear that he knows more about all this business than he's willing to tell. And we have Irene Sanders. No occupation, so it's clear that she holds Sarah Hawkins responsible for the death of her husband. But what I don't understand about Irene Sanders is the mix of sadness and insensitivity. It looks like she had given up on her husband long before this horrid death in the cellars of the Riverside Institute.
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
So, big picture. Oh, I have a new reconstruction. Alright, let's have a look.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? A house of artists. A house of artists. Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler. Finally. What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? She despises Sarah Hawkins, but it's the painting she truly hates. Why? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? need to see it.
Aha, another medicine book. Awesome. I need to refill my oil from somewhere. Oh well, I have the outside actually modelled pretty well. Nope, locked.
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
There's the phonograph. Oh, come on. There.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. It's inside my head. I see it. Behind my eyelids. Each time I shut my eyes. I can't take any more. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
That accursed gallery. Those accursed paintings. That accursed Sarah.
A strange Amerindian pendant.
An ancient amulet, probably a Amerindian. Wonder what its purpose could be. Oh, a clue's a clue. What's here? Ah, well in the cod? Past glory of the island.
I could use one of those. Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing.
Yes, that's right, that was the last thing on her list. Dear Francis, I beg you to give up all hope of ever owning this accursed painting. If our friendship has any meaning for you, please spare me the weight of guilt. I cannot be the architect of your fall. I beg you, my dear friend, forget the Shambler, your friend Sarah Hawkins. Some interesting progress.
An old diary.
This volume spends some time on Reverend Wickwood's community. His wife expresses her worries about the strange dreams that the Reverend's congregation are having since their arrival on the island. Some members of the community, her husband included, began to speak of their vision as a messenger sent by God. She is scared that they will suffer the same fate as the lost tribe. Bingo! Strength pays off. Key to the gallery. Would I read this book? I don't know what that book's about, so... Dissertation on an anatomical question. It is the work of a student in book form. Although the observations are relevant, they lack the expertise of an experienced physician. However, the questions asked allow us to imagine new ways of exploring human anatomy. What is a book?
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
It's none of your business.
It's got nothing to do with you, Baker. At least I hope not.
Bravado. And a threat. In the same sentence.
Likewise.
I appreciate the effort, Detective. But watch your tongue.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
What I know does not concern you, Detective.
I must insist.
I'm afraid that I must insist. I'm already trying to convince myself that you have nothing to do with my investigation. So help me stick to this assumption, or I'll have to treat you as a suspect.
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
I suppose. Well, I read the book. I don't even know what the book's about, but I'm going to have a look. It is a kind of encyclopedia of monstrous and unknown creatures. I'm beginning to believe that they exist. Malleus Bestiarium, Volume 2. Oh, time to go in. Whoa, fancy. So now I have to find the Shambler.
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times. The public entrance to the gallery.
Ah, full oil. Awesome. A hiding spot? Why would there be a hiding spot here? What in the world?
Why was he so interested in old weapons? The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
Well, there's the painting, but just checking if there's anything I can miss here. No, that's just leading through here. Oil. Okay.
What the hell was that?
Oh god, I'm dead. Thought.
Damn. This dagger looks different.
This dagger looks different. Got it.
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more?
I don't have enough occultism. Best I don't say what it was. No, I just drank a bit
It's
much.
nothing. I think I just drank too much.
That goes without saying. If you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction, then you're in real trouble.
I ran, screamed, broke a pane of glass. You were in the next room and you didn't hear a thing.
If I hadn't heard a thing, I'd still be in the other room. The door was blocked. I got in as soon as I could. I like to look after my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
The creature, this dagger, was the only weapon capable of pushing it back. If Hawkins was trying to get rid of this shambler, she might have made contact with Drake. This antique dealer has a good knowledge of the occult. I have nothing to lose by meeting him.
You've got your spunk back. Go where you want. I'm staying here to talk business with Irene.